Who's this? Hello?
Hey man, how's it going?
Oh, hey man. No, I'm doing alright. How are you?
Splendid, mate. Just splendid. So listen, are you still working on that Secret Agent Clank review? Because it is due today, you know.
Wait a minute. The review was supposed to be finished by today? But I haven't even started on working on it, nor I haven't begun on giving my opinions about it. I don't know, man. Maybe I should just stop reviewing games, you know? Maybe I should just retire to a nice big beach with a nice big drink and a woman with nice big bags of ice for my head.
Listen, dude, I know it's going to be tough reviewing this game, cause a lot of people do consider this game as one of the worst Ratchet & Clank games ever. But what you need to do right now is to stop feeling sorry for yourself. Man up, get your thumb out of your asshole, and review Secret Agent Clank. And you know what? If you're going to hell for this, then you might as well take this game down with you, just so that this game can suffer even more. And you can also take my ex-wife Sophie down there as well. Why did she leave me for Jeffrey, that dumb bitch? She's nothing more than a cracked whore! A fucking...
Okay. I get it. You do have a point. You know what? Fine. I'll do it. I'll review Secret Agent Clank. But listen, this review could be the end of me. And this may be the last time that we could ever speak to each other, so, if there is anything that you would like to say to me, now's the time.
Well, since you mentioned it, I did use your toothbrush to clean out my toilet.
What?
Oh look, someone's at the door. Gotta go.
Hello? Hello? For fuck's sake. Well, we all knew this game was going to happen sooner or later. With all the adventures Clank had with Ratchet over the years, we would finally see the spotlight on Clank in the new game to the Ratchet & Clank series in Secret Agent Clank. And how did it turn out? It blewed. Now don't get me wrong, I'm glad that Clank is finally getting the attention he deserves by having a game that's based around him, but there is something that I need to talk about. Why the fuck was High Impact Games making another Ratchet & Clank game? Because in the previous game they developed, Size Matters, was a huge downgrade to the Ratchet & Clank series. But then it turns out that High Impact Games was going to develop this game on PlayStation Portable only. So, which developers are picking up the pieces and making this game on PlayStation 2? Well, it was none other than Sanzaru Games. You know, the same developer that made Sly Cooper, Thieves in Time. So, despite that, can Sanzaru Games succeed where High Impact Games have failed? Well, stick around for a dry martini, which is shaken, not stirred, and some terrible puns as we take a look at Secret Agent Clank. Published by Sony Computer Entertainment and developed by High Impact Games and Sanzaru Games, Secret Agent Clank was released in 2008. and it was released on PlayStation 2 and PlayStation Portable. The version I'll be covering is the PlayStation 2 version, so hopefully no one gets confused. And with that being said, let's start the review with the story. The story begins at Bogtar Museum, home to the valuable gem known as the Eye of Infinity. The gem, however, has been stolen by... Wait, let me read this correctly. There we are. Right, let's see here. Ratchet? Okay, two things I want to mention. First, having Ratchet stealing the gem and taking him to jail doesn't really make that much sense. And two, are we just supposed to forget that in the secret Agent Clank show back at Up Your Arsenal, that Ratchet was a butler named Jeeves? Are we just supposed to forget that never happened and move on? Well, anyway, Clank believes that it's not Ratchet, and it's up to Clank to find out the mystery regarding Ratchet's actions and to find the Eye of Infinity. Much like Size Matters, I'm not a huge fan of the story. Mainly the reason is because the story takes itself way too seriously. Think about it. This game is a spin-off, right? And this game is based on the secret Agent Clank show, right? Well, what the developers should have done is had some fun while making this game. Create some wacky, over-the-top and interesting characters, along with a simple, and yet an exciting story. But instead, it becomes the same old and typical shit that you would have seen in a James Bond or a 007 movie. And if you have seen those movies before playing this game, then the story in Secret Agent Clank becomes boring and very predictable. So, now the story is covered, let's talk about how the game looks and how it functions, and... Oh my god. Oh my god! Holy mackerel. I never wanted to turn off a game that fast in my life. This game's graphics make Size Matters graphics superior. This game just looks so dead, ugly, and lifeless. As for the gameplay, there is different varieties, but I will talk about them one by one throughout the video. If you have played Size Matters before, then the gameplay here is mostly the same here. An annoying camera and the gameplay being an absolute downgrade. So, let's talk about the weapons lineup. I know in my Ratchet Clank 1 review that I said it had one of the weakest lineups in the series, but now, I think I'd like to change my opinion. Secret Agent Clank's weapons is by far the weakest out of the series. You have weapons like the Tire Rain, the Tanglevine Carnation, the Cufflink Bomb, and the Blowtorch Briefcase. There's a pointless gadget Clank uses called the Blackout Pen, which allows him to block lasers and cameras. Ratchet's weapons, on the other hand, mostly has some of the weapons from the previous game, including the Walloper for example. And one of the new weapons you can buy for Ratchet is the Pork Bomb Gun. I can't believe I just said that. And you can still buy the PDA and the Bolt Grabber at the vendor, which is still a shame, because I prefer going on an adventure, finding them along in your travels, instead of having to pay for one. And by the way, you can also play as Ratchet and Quark in this game. Ratchet's levels is just another downgrade of the arena battles, and Quark is basically traveling with a journalist named Barney, telling him all the heroic battles he had a long time ago. I will say that the voice acting is good. It's not their best performance, but it isn't really the actor's fault, it's just the writing is terrible. Oh yeah, another thing. The writing is terrible. Okay, time to get into serious mode. One of the huge problems I have with Secret Agent Clank is the loading screens. They are one of the most blandest and uninspiring loading screens I've ever seen, and they are way too long. I can accept other loading screens like Grand Theft Auto 5 because the game looks good. But in here, because the game already looks like shit, there are no explanations. Whatever happened to the original loading screens in Ratchet Clank? It really felt like you were on an adventure, going from planet to planet. Here, it's just one of your boring and lackluster loading screens. Wrath of Cortex takes around 39 seconds to load up a level, so let's see how long this game takes to load up. Everyone, prepare yourself.
Ta-da!
Are you fucking kidding me? Well, if we see something in video games that grinds our gears, you know what we have to do. You know what happens? You know what happens, Sanzaru Games, when you give us a long, boring, and uninspiring loading screens? You know what happens? Secret Agent Clank?
You just made the list!
The gameplay structure is the developers tried to make this a stealth game, kind of similar to the Sly Cooper series, but they just failed miserably. The stealth takedowns are awful. All it is are just pressing the buttons correctly before the time runs out. I've seen better stealth takedowns in other stealth games like Assassin's Creed than this piece of shit. Oh yeah, I'm sure no one would have heard that. And also, did Clank make this guy suck his own dick? You dirty bastard! This is going to be a first for me when I say this. So, here it goes. I do not like the soundtrack in Secret Agent Clank. This is a surprise to me, because the majority of the time, I enjoy the soundtrack in most video games, but not in this game. And that's because most of the soundtrack is forgettable parody versions of a James Bond movie. Don't believe me? Well, have a listen. And since Secret Agent Clank is ripping off a James Bond movie, it has to have some terrible puns, and all they accomplish is making my eyes roll. And throughout my time playing this game, I mostly did not laugh at the comedy in my playthrough. The only time that this game made me chuckle was when Quark was singing about stopping a leak with his left butt cheek.
Here's the first verse, how I saved everyone from being food for the glam dudes. They were trying to sink the city. I jumped in to save the day. I swam right under it and plugged the leak with just my left butt cheek.
Okay, I'll admit it. That part did make me laugh. But that was only once, and I was a kid in that time. The rest of the comedy, on the other hand, is very dull and very cringeworthy. Another thing that's very dull is the Gadgetbot levels. They are just so boring as you go through the same puzzles again and again. The Gadgetbot levels serves no purpose in this game. Now, I've been talking about some bad things about this game, but I've been saving the best for last. The icing to the fucking cake. The worst gameplay mechanic I ever played in a long time. It's so bad that I stopped playing and recording the gameplay footage for 2 consecutive days. That's how bad it is. And that is the rhythm sections. This is just horrific to look at and to play. Even Sly Cooper Thieves in Time did a better job than this. It does not sync up with the music, it feels like it takes forever, and it's not responsive at all. And whoever thought that adding in rhythm sections was a good idea, then you can grab a rope, tie your legs, then tie a heavy rock, throw the rock into the ocean, let yourself to get pulled into the bottom of the ocean, and as a result, killing yourself. Okay, that was, pretty dark. I apologize, don't do that. But still, adding in the rhythm sections in this game is a dreadful idea. Oh, Secret Agent Clank. You had great potential, and you could have been one of the best James Bond parody games ever. But much like High Impact Games and Size Matters, Sanzaru Games didn't know what the fuck they were doing, and they added in different gameplay styles that absolutely failed. This is one of the worst games I ever played in my life, and playing Spyro Enter the goddamn piece of frickin' shite Dragonfly before, that's saying a lot. Look, I've said this before in my Wrath of Cortex review, and I'll say this again. If you like this game, then good for you. As I stated before, that I won't judge you for whatever game you enjoy, but I have never seen a game that is so consistently bad as Secret Agent Clank. And people can say that it is a spin-off, but at the end of the day, it's still a legitimate title to the Ratchet Clank series. There are a couple things that I kinda liked, including the voice acting, but the rest just falls flat. Once again, if you're looking for a good Ratchet & Clank game, you'll have to look elsewhere. Secret Agent Clank gets 3 out of 10. And keep in mind, this is the lowest score I've ever given to a game on the Gaming Critic's YouTube channel so far. Jesus fucking Christ. I think I definitely lost a lot of brain cells after playing this game. So after reviewing 2 terrible Ratchet & Clank games, I think I need to take a break from the series, so I can get my brain back to 100% so I can go full on to review the Ratchet & Clank Future series. But in the meantime, the next game I'm going to review is another Mortal Kombat game. Tune in next time to find out which Mortal Kombat game I'm reviewing. Thank you for watching this review, and if you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, share the video, and subscribe today. My name's the Gaming Critic, telling you... Sorry, my teeth is a bit dirty, so I'm just gonna brush my teeth. Why the fuck does it taste like piss?